need traumatic cinematic, bitches.
Check us out, traumaticcinematic.com.
I'm Tony Stark. I build neat stuff. I got a great girl. And occasionally, save the world. So why can't I sleep?
You elected me on a single platform. I will defend this country at all costs. The Mandarin must be stopped.
You don't know who I am. You'll never see me coming.
What are you going to do about these attacks?
The whole world's gonna be watching.
The question, where is Tony Stark?
Things are different now. I have to protect the one thing that I can't live without. That's you. Mr. Stark.
Today is the first day of what's left of your life.
Hey, Dave, Louis knows that we're not actually watching Iron Man tonight, right?
I was worried about this too, because the coincidence of title, I mean, it's pretty much designed to lure people into thinking...
Oh yeah, we totally did it so we could get people to click, but I mean, come on. But he doesn't think we're really going to be talking about Robert Downey Jr. and Rhodey and Iron Man armors and all that, does he?
Except, you have to remember, this is the guy who thought The Birds and Birdemic were a perfect double bill.
Hey, what's up, guys? What's going on?
Oh, hey, Louis, how's it going?
Hey, dude, tonight's movie, it's fucking awesome. Like, I just, this whole comic book craze, it's just, finally, like, this is the first time Traumatic Cinematic's done anything from Stan Lee.
Yeah. Hate to tell you, Louis, but tonight's film actually comes to us from writer-director Shinya Tsukamoto.
Oh, God bless you.
Yes.
Gesundheit.
Yeah, and it's actually from 1989, far before this current comic book craze descended upon us like a storm. Yeah. Sorry.
Folks, remember, you can find us at traumaticcinematic.com, and of course, you can also listen to the show on Stitcher, look us up on iTunes, or you can also find us on Facebook, Traumatic Cinematic. Don't forget to look us up on Twitter, at TC Podcast Crew. Now on to the show. Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the internet. I am your host tonight, Mugumbo. This is the Traumatic Cinematic Show. With me is my two trusty cohorts. As always, we got one here local in the Midwest with me. We have one on the West Coast. Mr. West Coaster, Mr. David DeMoss.
You're going to hate me.
Probably. And here, my 20-minute southern neighbor, Mr. Mike Whitcliffe.
I say we start calling him Captain Drill, but his fists are not the drill.
No. My alternative was Nothing Bothers Me, but yeah, I like that one better.
The drill is his penis.
Yes, it is.
I might be making Dr. Horrible references.
But only sometimes. And only after the dream sequence where his girlfriend gets the penis. Which, Yeah.
This whole movie is phallic.
Oh, God.
This entire movie is phallic. Folks, when I say this whole movie is phallic, what we are discussing here tonight, we, at the Traumatic Cinematic Show, we pick out a movie every single week. We watch it. We come together. We discuss it, for good or bad. Sometimes
we do it just so that you'll click on it, because Iron Man opens this week.
Yes, Iron Man 3. But this isn't Iron Man 3.
Mike?
This is Tetsuo, the Iron
Mike,
Man.
You didn't really think this one through, did you?
Sure I did.
You did this on purpose, didn't you?
Absolutely.
Hey, if the Asylum can do it, we can do it too.
Was this to pay Louis back for Birdemic?
Maybe.
Guys, I actually have a story about this. I have a story about this movie. Remember, in the longtime listeners that have heard me talk about my early on my own years, my 19 years old, had my first apartment. We worked at a retail store called Incredible Universe. It was owned by Tandy Corp. It was the greatest
Fries.
And now it's Fries. It was the greatest show on earth. We had a thing called a rotunda, and they ripped Disney
really
off.
A great store.
It was an awesome store. Anyway, I ran video games and software, but we had this awesome CD and video section, and at the time it was all Laserdiscs and VHS tapes, and we picked this out. It was like $39.99, which was ridiculous for a VHS tape, but it looked fucking awesome. To be honest with you, we might not have paid for it, but we just borrowed it to demo it so we could tell customers.
Employee discount.
Yes, of course. How else are people going to know, right? I mean, this is a weird awesome. Japanese cyberpunk movie.
The actual album cover of this movie, there's a couple different covers, but there's one with a lime green on it, is just burnt into my brain. This was one of those things that we... Like you got your buddies over, and Mike, I know you can't really relate to this, but let's say you're partying.
Are you pointing out the fact that I have no friends?
No, I'm pointing out the fact that as we're all sipping sassafras and adding extra sugar cubes into our said drinks, that
I had coffee tonight just so I could stay up. I didn't sleep much last night.
As we would, as teenagers, get intoxicated, and we would watch this movie, share it with friends. Oh, dude, you want to see a fucked up movie? Oh man, I forgot how fucked up this movie really is. This movie
really is fucked up.
It really is fucked up.
Sense,
actually, the more I've watched and more I know about cinema now, that we've been doing, I watch movies completely differently now than I did before. I thought I knew a little something about movies.
You're sober when you watch them.
Yeah.
I will say that the one bit of trivia that they have on the IMDb page for this movie explains everything. It's based on a play that the director wrote, directed, and performed in college.
Of course. And it
has college play written all over it.
I was going to say film student experiment.
Oh, absolutely.
Or it strikes me more like one of the experimental films that you get out of the late 60s or so.
I am curious, did you guys get any deep down influences from this?
Oh God, yes. This is 89, so I could see obvious parallels to both David Lynch and Cronenberg. Yeah, Lynch. The two Davids.
Cronenberg.
Lynch.
Cronenberg.
Wait, we switched. I should be saying Cronenberg because I actually like Cronenberg.
No, it's duck season.
No, it's Wabbit season.
No, it's Wabbit season.
No, it's Cronenberg. I could give less of a fuck about David Lynch, but
Who's
there's
Brundlefly, fire.
There's a lot of Eraserhead in here. There's a lot of body horror in here.
No, you're not picking it up. Psycho. This movie has got Psycho written all over it.
You think?
Absolutely.
It's got lots of things written all over it.
That's true.
Most of them aren't really legible.
I think that I see a lot of the editing. I mean, granted, they're trying to rip off that amazing shower scene, that tenseness of the music. They're using an industrial and folks. This Dave, you basically what I got from this is man becomes one with metal, gets run over in car by some group of yuppies that then fuck over his thought to be dead corpse, and then they become
yuppies,
one with metal to an extent. But anyway, the industrial music that they use, along with all the tenseness of it, and the quick, fast, like bam, 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 bam editing was very much like the shower scene of Psycho to me. It's some different points, like especially being black and white. It's like actually kind of beautiful.
Not just any kind
some
of
scenes are bad. Some scenes are bad. It's not beautiful start to finish like Psycho was by any means.
No, but it's 16 millimeter black and white.
But there are moments where they had it dead on. That's like wow. But it's not start to finish. But it's something else. Like I don't know. What did you think, Mike? Do you think I was going to hate it?
No, I didn't expect anybody to hate it. I mean, it's definitely something that's right up our alley.
It is. It's totally traumatic cinematic. I haven't been this excited about a movie. I was actually disappointed. I've had a busy week, right? I think we've all had busy weeks. But with I had like a not to get too much in the personal life, but my oldest kid, 3.5 years old, had a tonsillitis and had his tonsils taken out, and it was a little harder. Normally I'll watch a movie like twice, especially something like this. I wanted to see a couple times, but I actually only got to see it once tonight, right before we recorded, and I had a rush of memories coming back from watching it back. I guess 96. This came out in 89, so it was 7 years old. But in America, I mean, how long do you think it was probably even out here?
Yeah, good point. This was the 90s. You had to wait. You were good if you waited a decade before you saw something come to us from Japan.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember when I saw it. It was after I graduated high school, which is 96, so...
Yeah, I waited 10 years for the 90s Godzilla films to get here. And those were major studio releases.
Did you notice at the beginning, Dave, that it says Little Monsters Production?
I did, yes.
I was like, oh, that's the total...
And when we see the full Iron Man suit, it's actually pretty awesome as far as tokusatsu
It
suits
actually...
go.
More recently, it kind of reminded me of the Meat Man suit from John Dies at the End.
That works, yeah. It brought to my mind it's called Shin Kamen Rider. It's the it's the gritty 90s reboot of Kamen Rider that they did in 1991, I believe. It's exactly what you think it is. It's Kamen Rider by way of Cronenberg, specifically The Fly. So I would recommend
Maybe
it.
Maybe we need to get William B. West back in here to talk to us about Kamen Rider.
I know, right?
I think he knows more. I think he knows about as much about that as he does Power Rangers, and that's a fair amount. So
yeah, see, and most people only know it from that stupid Masked Rider bastardization of it. But it experimented with gritty realism there for a second, and we got a lot of body horror, like we got here in Tetsuo. And that name Tetsuo, did anybody else think of Akira?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
All over the place, yeah.
And I wondered, and I didn't pick up on anything which doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. But is this some sort of Japanese fable of man becoming one with machine, or one with the alloys and metals of
paranoid
fantasy?
Paranoid fantasy of the 20th century, I would say. It's not a fable. It'll be a fable in like 300 years or so. But what is a fable is the Vengeful Dead. If you go to Japan, you've got to watch your ass for the Vengeful Dead. They are everywhere, and they hold all the real power. They can twist your body to their will.
Was he Vengeful Dead, or was he just not actually dead?
He was totally Vengeful Dead. He gets hit by the car in the second scene, right? After we see him shove the pipe.
I guess, and I hadn't really thought about it that way, because I've been trying to figure out, what he was supposed to be, and then I was reading, some of the stuff online about it, and it just says somehow he's not dead. But no, now that you said Vengeful Dead, that makes a lot more sense.
This somehow is because it's Japan, and in Japan you got to watch it.
That happens.
The dead will fuck you up, like Percocet, and so this is the story. This is the story of one he's only referred to in our sources as the metal fetishist, which I do like. Iron Man should fight a guy named Metal Fetishist. All the Iron Mans should in any universe.
I've got metal rods in my spine. They did not get there by me cutting myself and just shoving them in there.
But they weren't
good.
No, if they were rusty though.
Way.
No, Mike. But if the doctors had put rusty ones in there, this is what would happen. It was the rusty ones, the ones that started already growing organically. Which being a worker of metal, ladies and gentlemen, there's a certain part of me, like right now I have metal in my body. I have like little splinters of metal in my fingers and in my arms, and it never fails. I always have a metal splinter somewhere in my eyes every now and then. Those are the worst.
That's why you wear safety glasses.
I do. Like they believe it or not, they get around safety glasses, or you're walking by somebody and the wind blows. It's freakish how the shit happens.
Wind doesn't blow.
The wind doesn't blow. It's windy. Anyway, so I have a connection to becoming one with metal and man working the machine. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm sitting here in front of a laptop, in front of a desktop with a widescreen monitor showing the movie that we're talking about right now. I have a big screen TV also in front of me. I also have like a big hard drives and all these movies and that. We're actually more connected and machine as we are organic anymore, are we not?
Skynet's going to kill us all.
My cell phone, I'm connected with my cell phone to everything. You've hit
upon the source of modern cyberpunk literature.
This is 1989. This is 1989. It's really and so far ahead of itself, and to some extent.
This was the year of the Tim Burton Batman.
We didn't really have the internet at this point. In any way, shape, or form.
It existed in '89,
but not
just barely.
Like BBSs. We were hitting up chat rooms that had like 3 lines.
Yeah, and you basically had to be either in the military, the government, or maybe on a college
or
campus
the library
to be able to get to it.
A major like a state library and shit like that.
Maybe if you were lucky, but yeah, and if you think we had it bad over here in the '80s in Japan, man, they were pretty much going crazy. You have to remember, they went from no or almost no industrialization.
They didn't have to spend any money on military anymore.
Well, there's that, but at the same time...
That's a lot of money to put into just technology.
Yes,
is it not?
Well, it's not even that. It's just the amount of time in place. I mean, they went in one generation from... most people living in wooden houses to complete late 20th century post-industrialization, including...
They leapfrogged a lot of the infrastructure, though. That's how they did it.
Yeah, exactly. And all they had
here in the U.S., we went from A to B to C to D. In Japan, they basically went from A to D.
So is it? Do you think this is a cry at the Japan's Industrial Revolution?
Oh God, yes.
well,
I
sure.
think if you asked the director, he would tell you that.
Yes. Whether he gets that message across is another question.
Did anyone else make the connection of our director also being one of the main characters in Ichi the Killer?
Yes, he and Miike are good friends.
Takashi Miike. I would imagine. I think they would have a lot to talk about.
That's true. They seem... Well, I don't know, though. Tsukamoto seems to have more of a problem with sex. Unless... Well, I guess Miike just doesn't talk about it. So that's...
well, he did do Audition.
Yeah, good point. But still, Audition's kind of a...
anti-sex. Yeah, that's the big naughty. And that's how you lose your limbs.
That's true. Yep, that's true. And in this, it's obvious our salary man has some real issues. I mean, there is that dream sequence. Which is just
ladies and gentlemen, there are some amazing scenes in this film. You have to keep in mind, this metal is growing within him, and then he's having these dream sequences that are taking him into another realm where his girlfriend, who he basically had hot, passionate fornication with over the dude who they ran over's corpse.
Yeah, see, that's just kind of weird to begin with.
That he's having basically dreams of her dominating him.
They might as well just be pissing on his grave.
Long, snaky, metally penis.
They hit the guy with a car, throw him in a ravine, and then have sex. Where is that hot?
It's very hot, Mike. It's just you saying it's got my nipples hard.
Everybody's got their thing, if they don't transgress, they can't be punched.
I've committed murder. I need sex.
And I committed murder, and I'm hard as a rock.
And that's the thing about this movie, though. All of our characters are cartoons, basically.
So basically, Patrick Bateman, or what?
No, the guy's a salaryman stereotype, and the girl is what? Shit, I forget the word. But she's any number of demon temptresses that wait for, stalwart young boys in the night. You got to watch out for those. They'll do horrible things to you, as we see here. Right? I mean, shit.
There's some horrible things going on, and
even though,
as you're saying that, I am seeing this lady serpent metal penis snake, and it scares me. It's like it's peeking out of the water. You can look around a corner, without.
It does somehow make me feel inadequate. Yes.
Now, this is what makes me think that this movie is like Darren Aronofsky's Naked Lunch.
Wow.
Because it's 16 millimeter, right? It's overexposed black and white. It makes me think of Pi, just because that's first.
I kind of thought of it more of a steampunk Toxic Avenger.
That could work. I don't know though. It's too. I don't know though. It's.
I thought it like somebody was trying to do Psycho, like a Japanese Psycho.
It's not linear enough for
cyberpunk Psycho, black and white. Stop motion, like animations, and you could tell like he was learning how he edited this movie himself. There's no way he didn't, and like he literally, this is where he learned to edit. I don't know what his history is, but this had to be where he learned to edit.
This was his third movie. The first two were 8mm shorts, even though the second one's like an hour long.
And again, let's
counts.
not forget, this was a movie that is based on a play that he wrote, directed, and starred in college.
I wonder what role he played.
The snake penis. Anyway,
right.
So there's also Tetsuo 2, the body hammer.
And then there's Tetsuo the Bullet Man also.
Yeah,
yes.
Which apparently he's trying to Evil Dead this up. He keeps coming back to the idea and doing it up with more money every once in a while.
Well, if you can do it.
Well, I'm all for it. And it is kind of an iconic story. You could, it's deliberately so. What are our names here? We have man and woman, and the woman in glasses in the subway.
How will we ever find someone to play man again?
No shit, right?
He just doesn't seem like man. I'm really expecting a more hunkier man.
But no, it also has a kind of deliberately... I don't know, though, why... Well, I do know why you'd remake it. But it has a kind of deliberately lo-fi aesthetic that I don't see
but it's
reaching much
it's
beyond...
still better than lo-fi.
An audience. I don't see reaching much of a wide audience. There's a reason most people don't go back and watch Andy Warhol's movies. And it's...
The one reason? What, the one of them sleeping is just amazing. You have to see the last 30 minutes of it.
Yeah, right. One of them
amazing.
would be.
It takes 29 hours, but it's beautiful.
And then there's all the discordant editing and all the weird shit on the soundtrack.
Dali is not crazy.
There's this stuff deliberately designed to alienate an audience. It's very
artsy.
It's intentionally kind of hard to watch.
Yeah,
it's a college student weird for the sake of being weird, and that's what a conclusion I kind of came to was, does this movie have some huge, deep, meaningful, underlying, a story to it, or lesson, or is it just bullshit? Is it just some weird shit thrown together? A dude trying to learn how to do these different effects for some sort of mythical cyberpunk Japanese story. That's been passed around. Akira, wasn't the Tetsuo guy in Akira also full of metal and shit?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Also,
yeah, that was his name, in Akira.
And,
got his arm blown off by a saddle.
This is more like a college project. He makes it weird for the sake of being weird, and then whatever we read into it. He wants to be dominated because he lives in a society where he's dominated unwillingly all the time, but to be dominated by his girlfriend is really his turn on, and when it doesn't happen, he has to be dominated himself.
See, I would be less inclined to believe that it was bullshit if he hadn't remade the movie twice.
There is that.
When you're just going back and trying it again, I'm more inclined to believe that you were just kind of bullshitting your way through it the first time.
And there's a certain, and there is a certain extent that this film is stuck right up its own ass.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is it weird for the sake of being weird?
Of course.
Because let's, if we had the opportunity to make a movie and to have a big screwing penis thing, of course I want that in my movie.
Of course. But even before you get to that, there's the scene where
I made this 5 years ago and I've never got to use it. I'm using it in this movie.
But no, there's this scene where he's feeding his girlfriend dinner, and every time she takes a bite, there's this horrific atonal sound on the soundtrack. When she bites and when she licks the sausage, it sounds like someone's scraping a fork down the side of a battleship. And that is completely deliberate and intentional to put the audience off and to make us go, "Woo, this is weird."
And I've seen my girlfriend eat a hot dog before. It is possible to eat a hot dog and not have it be, "Oh, there's sex involved." There's sex involved.
Nope. That's true.
That's true. I've seen it happen.
I go to Dairy Queen once a week and I get a foot-long Coney dog, right? But I I fold it and bite it from the middle. Otherwise, I feel inadequate.
I have never seen someone fillet a fork in the middle of in a movie.
Oh, hell yeah!
Which is why you, Louis, are the one who will have the creepy dream sequence tonight because of your.
I hope
because
so.
of your inadequacy.
I hope so. Bring out the gimp.
There's a reason we're following a salaryman stereotype, right? That he's the unrepentant murderer.
No, I would imagine I would be the rust fetish.
the metal fetishist?
Yes, the metal fetishist.
Yeah,
or
that's
the
right.
Rustus.
That's what I would be. I would be Stanley never made. He can invade your body and mind and eventually merge with you. So this whole movie is kind of like a gay fantasia about putting bros before hoes to take over the world.
Now imagine that the guy was played by Robert Downey Jr.
A gay fantasia, really, Mr. DeMoss. That's
that's
a very colorful portrait. I mean, no, you can
I don't want to
Do you have something against gay people in Fantasia?
I don't want to spoil the end of it, but you know how it ends, right? I mean, bros before hoes, right?
Yes. There's some interpretations to how that could have been, but you know what, folks? We are going to get into those little tidbits of love and tenderness in the next half of the show. But until then, we are going to listen to some spectacular little tidbits that I tend to come up with here. And for the last couple of weeks, I have actually cut them out and put them available in the blog post of the website. So go to traumaticcinematic.com and you can download it or, just listen to it by itself, along with the rest of the show. Or by itself. So, on to the break.
Or just the show.
Or just listen to the show.
もしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしもしも もしもし。もしもし。
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Mushy, mushy. Mushy, mushy. Mushy, mushy.
Hello?
Mushy, mushy.
Is there anybody out there?
Mushy, mush.
Just nod if you can hear me.
Folks?
That was kind of a weird thing. 8 minutes into the movie before anybody talks, and then it's just hello, 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 hello.
I thought my speakers were broken. I'm trying to figure out, is it like the light's on? I can't hear nothing. Like, is something on mute? Like, what the fuck? It's like nothing. I mean, like, I seen this dude cutting his leg open and shoving metal, and it was like, but still nothing. Anyway,
I'll bet the live version of this was a special effects showcase.
Oh, and his college play,
the likes of which we've never seen on our crappy college experimental plays. I mean,
I would love to see some of those movies that started off as plays, just to see how different they were. Stuff like there's that Repo the Genetic Opera too. It's one of those that I know was a play first, and I would love to see what the play was because I just can't picture it.
Well, in today's day and age, that'll be, not just possible, but just commonplace. It will all be recorded. And if there was only one showing of this, there will be something on YouTube about it, anything that was probably done in the last 3-4 years. I mean, people are, taking 2-hour-long videos on their cell phones. So,
but this was the 80s when cameras were obviously huge and bulky.
Exactly.
And you had to haul them around on your shoulders. And so, I mean, I'm just wondering how you would show a man shoving a rebar into his thigh on stage. That'd be.
Oh, I could see it. And that's why I think they use the conduit so much. Especially, one, it shows up so well in black and white. But I imagine even on a stage show, the shadows on it, just where you can kind of see the shapes of it so well that you just assume that it's metal. Which, in all honesty, it could be like the little spring snakes. Right. Well, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I can see, does that make sense? Like, you could, keep pushing that into your leg and blood squirting out and just, to where it looks like it's going away, even up close. But, what do I know?
Then we could rust the whole world and scatter it to the universe.
To the universe. Mushy, mushy. Mushy, mushy.
Yeah.
Mushy.
But at the same time, though, this is interesting.
We really did it defined us. At that time, at 19 years old, my first apartment, we were working this job, and we were meeting new people, and they were coming back, and we would share movies and different stories and stuff. Hitchhiker, the BBC's Hitchhiker Guide to the Galaxy.
Hell yeah!
That was one of those that we would flip people out with.
Neil Gaiman's Neverwhere.
Nope, never did that one. No,
we never. Yeah, I never had access to that. For us, it was that Ichi.
Meet the Feebles was one.
Yeah, Meet the Feebles.
Remember the Meet the Feebles story with the?
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, so
bunch of
previous episode of the show, Meet the Feebles.
Yes.
Go back
which everyone
and find
should
it
download
in the archives
at traumaticcinematic.com.
Do.
But no, this is pretty much the perfect movie for that. It has a lot of interesting practical special effects and no characters of substance whatsoever. So it's pretty much perfectly made for being a teenager sitting around getting stoned.
It really is. And this movie moves so fast, but it's one long fucking hour. Because it's hard to hold your jaw open for an hour. Actually, an hour and 7 minutes. What is it, 67 minutes long?
Glad you mentioned that. Yes. Because there
is a 77-minute version, but I don't have it. So.
Some of this was cut for an international release. I'm amazed and shocked.
Probably less drill. Or more drill. It needs more cowbell.
The dick of death. The cylindrical cock. There's also a lot of inner-directed self-hatred in this movie, just from
that's kind of common with Japanese, though, isn't it? The woman the man stands so dominant over the woman, but then in his fantasy, in his dream, the woman is dominant over him. Is it a fear or is that his fantasy?
But even in real life, though, it translates over into it. I mean, he's the one retreating into the bathroom, being like, "No, you'll hate me. I'm horrible. I'm hideous.
Did
I'm
have a
monster."
big power drill penis,
and that's like a universal
big and spinning.
But isn't that like a universal fear of the day after when you wake up and you're like, "Oh, damn, what did we do last night? Oh yeah, we killed somebody and fucked over his corpse."
Yes. Is he dead? I don't know. He will be soon. You know, like it was like, well, you know, you didn't feel bad for him. That's for damn sure.
Really? I don't know. I find it hard to feel kind of bad for people whose first reaction to a hit and run is to like pick him up and chuck him into the back seat.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Not a deer.
Don't judge it until you try it.
Well, but
don't judge it until you try it.
And this isn't the first Japanese horror movie that's revolved around a hit and run. I mean, there's this movie from the 60s. It's just called Hell, where a theology student and his horrible amoral friend, because there's always a horrible amoral friend, right?
Unless you are the horrible amoral friend, yes.
Exactly, yeah. And so this theology student and his friend, they hit some guy on in the middle of the night, and the guilt drives them insane for half the movie until they're all murdered and go to hell. And then we spend the other half of the movie in Japanese hell, which is basically Buddhist hell.
Texas?
Which is, pretty much, there's the field of bodies where the people are like, their arms are sticking out of the ground, grasping at you. There's the lakes of blood. There's the devil presiding over, the fields of flame and fire. And there's your love interest who you gotta, whose voice you gotta follow and save and shit. And it's kind of like this, except in color and with a budget. Though this, I shouldn't say that. This obviously had a budget. It just all went into the suits, which...
I don't know about you guys. I had this thought. If I had the opportunity and I had some investors that would allow me to remake this movie,
then you'd have Tetsuo the Bullet Man.
It would be 77 minutes long, but like the last 15 minutes, they would be giant monsters, both of them. Before they have their melding of the two manly, masculine metal morphed.
Like a big old kaiju battle?
Yes, with cities and buildings falling down. And,
this does.
And then the buildings, basically the bricks and shit falling down, but then the girders from the buildings would then start sticking to them. And they'd be picking the buildings up, stuck to them, smacking each other, which then maybe start sticking together and stretching out like Spider-Man's webs, and then, just till they just become that one big nasty mess that they became. Of man love.
That could work.
Of man love.
That could work, because I take it neither of us have seen the two Tetsuo sequels.
No.
Not yet, but Tetsuo the Bullet Man is on Netflix right now, and it is in my queue. So I will be watching it eventually.
Stay tuned for more information.
Yes. That would be the 2009 sequel that he did for this. He did one in 92 and one in 09. And so that'll be interesting to see.
They both are apparently just remakes of the first one. And the 2009, the Tetsuo the Bullet Man, apparently has new Nine Inch Nails music and dialogue, and is mostly in English, apparently.
Trent Reznor, Trent Reznor would so be a fan of this.
Of course he would.
So it's like
I imagine he has something to do with it. It might have. I guess I didn't look deep enough into it. It might have actually been part of one of his stage shows, for all we know.
Yeah.
No, seriously. I mean, I can see him doing it.
I will bet you that they both owe some of their artistic inspiration to Giger, because I saw some Giger in this.
I could see that.
As a young lad, I looked up to him as an artist so much and didn't know that much about him because we didn't have that thing called the internet. So all I could find was what I saw at the bookstore and the library about him, and there wasn't much because he was kind of a cultist, right? Or still is. I don't know. I think he's.
Well, there's a lot more about Giger now than there was.
Oh, absolutely. Well, there's also the internet, so like we can actually find this stuff. But like he was awesome, like just especially with all the alien stuff. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Very Giger influenced. Giger.
It's all the wires and all the pipes and the way
the
they
repetitive patterns.
Yes.
To make the look of pipes and tubing and veins and arteries and kind of like metallic.
That part actually did feel kind of Cronenberg-esque to me.
Metallic-y, or basically metallic organic.
And there's even that scene, Mike, where he's fucking with his extra bits in the mirror, right? And he squeezes the zit, the metal zit.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's right
that was
out of
gross.
That's right out of The Fly, is what that is. I mean, that's just except and then they do it again, right after the sodomy dream sequence. He wakes up and his girlfriend's like, "What's wrong?"
Sodomy.
I was knew that was going to happen.
Bet you think it awful.
I was all like, "Nothing, honey, just body horror because I'm terrified of sex." And he peels his own face off. What it is?
Well, who hasn't done that once or twice?
And if I was making a movie, I would. If I was making a movie, I'd be like, I want to do this, and this, and a dude's face peeling off would be one of those things. Well, I mean, serious. I mean, who doesn't want? Like, we all saw Indiana Jones, where the guy's face melted off. Like the
that was so awesome.
It was so awesome, and I think
that's like a defining moment in a person's childhood. It
really was, and I think everyone that made a film after that definitely wanted to replicate that, right?
Oh God, yes.
Like,
why wouldn't
in some way or better or different, and I saw a lot of stop motion animation, special effects in this, which worked because hell, the movie's so edited and chopped.
Well, and those rapid cuts,
yes,
and
very rapid cuts.
I think a fun game to play would be to pick out which pieces are stop motion and which are just good old fashioned time lapse photography.
And I think some of it's actually like reversed. It's hard to tell what's in reverse because I think they throw it in there sometimes when it's unnatural to make it feel unnatural. They want a lot of this to feel unnatural, right?
Yes.
Nothing feels more unnatural.
That was kind of the point, yeah.
Nothing feels more natural than to see something in reverse, looking like it's forward.
Yeah, God.
I don't know. And flip horizontal too.
How about the super speed sequences in this movie? That looked kind of unnatural, but in a really funny way.
Oh yeah. But it all works together because it's also supernatural-ish to begin with. That it all adds to the creepiness and the art house wonderness of it.
Well, you shoot in 16mm black and white. That's pretty much what you're going to get. And this is a great crash course in use of resources, as far as that goes. I just wish it was about people with, like, names and shit that I could remember.
Well, yeah, it's hard to remember when most of the names are all in Japanese.
That's one of the things I'm looking forward to about Tetsuo the Bullet Man is that they've got... I'm sitting here looking at the IMDb for it, and they have actual English or American names, and apparently they speak in English. So that should be that should be easier to keep track of, at least.
Will it be another Sukiyaki Western Django?
I kind of hope so, because I really like Sukiyaki Western Django, so there.
Yeah, it adds that, but definitely watch it with the subtitles too. Like, listen to them speak English, but actually read it so you know what they're saying.
Well, and I watched this with subtitles, so.
Well, yeah, of course, but this wasn't in English.
Well, that's true.
And there wasn't that much dialogue.
No,
there was not. Like I said earlier, 8 minutes before the first word is spoken.
You know, that's funny you said that about Nine Inch Nails doing like the Bullet Man, because I actually was thinking as I was watching this, because I've had it playing a couple times this week before I actually watched it without any audio, and I thought to myself, I was like,
it feels like a Nine Inch Nails video, doesn't it?
Like I could totally put like Ministry to the background of this, like or some hardcore like Primus or just like something, Nine Inch Nails or even more industrial Rammstein.
It's not like you could put They Might Be Giants behind it or something,
Oh, I could.
They might be Gojira. They might be Gojira.
Well, what are we going to do?
Our Metal Source.
No, but yeah, you could. This totally needed. This is the one thing that I would say Pi had that this lacked, which was a kick-ass soundtrack. You need like some.
I can't remember any music in Pi.
I don't either, but I remember
recently.
it being wondrous, though.
Because
it's been a while since I've seen it.
It fits so well into the piece. It all becomes part of a glorious whole instead of being purposefully discordant to be, Brechtian.
It doesn't draw attention to itself. It actually enhances the movie instead of pulls you away to listen to the music.
Exactly. And I'm of the opinion that I would never have sat through Pi if it didn't have a bitchin' soundtrack. Because it's basically procrastination, the motion picture. Whereas
I like Pi.
Me too. I fucking love that movie. It's my favorite Darren Aronofsky to this day. But with this, it's with Tetsuo. It's all about the image is so conscious and so prescient. And I get it. Sound editing is hard, and it was even harder back then. And it's much easier to just, not record any dialogue at all, or record as little as possible while you're on set, and just fuck it, do it all later, or fuck it, lay bangs and whistles over it.
One of the things the music made me think of, recently I went and I saw, it was a silent movie. It was a silent movie from just a couple years ago, but also Japanese. It was about a vampire. But the Museum of Art here in Indianapolis was running a series of silent movies. And so we went and saw this, and it had live music performance.
Damn right.
The live music performance was a dude with a drum who was doing, experimental things with brushes and such on the drum, and then a guy who had a table full of toys and a saxophone. And so they weren't creating music for the movie; they were creating a soundscape. And as we were walking out, I looked at the girlfriend and I said something along the lines of, "Well, I certainly do feel like I've just been to the art museum to see a movie." Because it was exactly the stereotype of, what you expect if you're not somebody who goes to the art museum a lot.
You're such a
who
hipster.
Goes to the art museum to see a movie.
Mike, how do you know? How do you know you're a hipster?
I know. Shut up.
I prefer watching cinema with an alternative soundtrack.
Well,
a mood setting vibe.
It was weird.
He has a tambourine on his right foot and chopsticks in his left hand, and he plays his xylophone.
But when the woman in our film, when the woman bites into that sausage at dinner, and the man has an orgasm, and the world whites out, we get this sound. It's like someone dropped like a warehouse full of flatware onto a sound stage. And that's
Foley Man's wet dream.
It was like they were trying to find the only sounds they could of heavy metal, like banging around making noise.
Exactly, and that's what we get for most of the soundtrack for this movie.
Nothing is more racist than a box full of dinnerware being dropped downstairs for sound effects for an Asian movie. It's terrible, and I don't stand behind it.
That doesn't even make any... How is that racist?
Just let it go. Just let it go.
We're all Japanese people.
Just let it go.
Okay. Unless we're talking about the... Okay.
It's one of those things like I was making the motion right across the top of my head.
Like an erection drilling through a dinner table.
Yeah.
Just...
Yeah. Or through a woman.
Yes, or through...
But she did it intentionally. She did it on her own. She wanted it. He didn't do it to her. She wanted it. At least that's what I got. Did I like look away at the wrong point where she didn't want it? She seemed like she wanted it. She thought he was dead. She thought he had passed, and she
watching too closely.
Nibbling on him like
there was that. There was that. I'm sure that was intentional.
Big pointy penis with your Sunday cone, swirly style, mushu. Wushu.
Like
is amazing.
Steampunk trauma movie.
It was more like
cyberpunk.
I don't think cyberpunk.
Japanese steampunk
things. It was one of those things that Technodrome used to burrow through the earth.
There you go.
Yeah, no, cyberpunk.
I did notice at one point that, looking at his big metallic-y suit of wonderness, that there was a fish head. There was
there?
like,
I didn't see that.
Because I got to where I was really trying to look, because there was some times where I had to pause it, but I would look at his suit and I'm like, that's a fish head. That is a fish head. Like, they had wrapped tinfoil around, spray painted, you know, being black and white.
Was it a roly-poly fish head?
Roly-poly fish heads. Eat them up. Yum. Speaking of
I just
Nakamoto,
like to give Louis song cues.
at least I know him. That's what makes me a Gen X nerd. So, what do you guys think? Is this something that you would watch with your mom and then try to explain to her for the next 3 years while you had her watch this and what it meant?
No.
Well, if I watched this with my mom, she would instantly recognize what it was and probably give me an interesting story about watching actual experimental films back when all of this was new. So, yeah, actually, I just might do that.
You know, I might watch it with my mom, too, but only because it might finally cause her to stop trying to watch movies with me.
I couldn't, because my mom would keep trying to adjust to get the color to come out of this thing, and she'd obsess over it the whole time, not even paying attention to it. But I love my mom, so nothing against moms, because this has nothing to do with moms in this movie, even though...
Although Mother's Day is coming.
And this is completely based off of, you know, or I think ripped off of Psycho. But that's me personally.
See, I'm not sure I get Psycho, but I kind of see sort of where you're coming from, but I'm not sure I agree.
I think some of the cinematography is kind of ripped off, but along with everything, everyone's influenced by something, right? Right. What else, guys? This is the Japanese Iron Man. What about this American Iron Man coming out, Mike? Dave? It's coming out this week, right?
It's going to be awesome.
It's supposed to be awesome.
Depending on when we put the episode up, because we've changed the release date a little bit throughout the week. It could be out by the time this episode comes up.
The show should drop on Tuesdays.
When people are listening to this, I may be watching Iron Man right now.
As will I. Yes. Hopefully,
because I will see it at least twice, I'm sure.
Wow.
We are.
Wow. For a bunch of non-Hollywood loving film fools, we sure like the spoon-fed crack, don't we?
Hey.
Yes.
But Robert Downey Jr. is my favorite addict. I mean, he really is. I love him. He's awesome as Sherlock. He is the success story. He's the Charlie Sheen of his generation. I guess they're kind of the same generation, but
I would say
he's on the high end of it now.
Should have been.
He's on the high end of it now. Has Charlie gotten there yet? Probably not. Maybe not.
Charlie's in Scary Movie 5. What does that tell?
Yeah.
He's actually the anger management show is actually not too bad.
Oh yeah, I haven't had a chance to see it.
Actually, it's pretty neat seeing his dad's on there quite a bit. So, not to get into
really, I thought they weren't talking.
Well, they're not. They're acting together though. Actually, it's funny because Martin Sheen acts like Charlie's real life to Charlie, who is trying to be the responsible one in the show. It's kind of funny.
That's pretty funny.
His dad's out boozing it up and stealing cars. And
so his dad's not being the president?
No, not right now.
I can't see him anymore without going, oh yeah, I wish I could vote for that guy.
See, it was funny, though. I still think of him as Jason Wynn. So, yeah. Even during the West Wing years. That was interesting.
I never watched any West Wing, so... All right.
The West Wing was so good.
You missed it. There has to be something else to all this, right? I mean, there has to be something else to the human and machine melding as one. I think we've all felt a little bit of that in our lives, whether we like it or not. We're all dependent on this technology, this electricity, this information at our fingertips. It's scary because we don't really know how much it would really suck to be disconnected. And does that mean that we are just as addicted and stuck on them, or as much like the Rust Man or the Metallic Angel, or what is he? The Metallic Fetishist.
Yeah, the metal fetishists or the iron.
Are we the digital information, fetishists? Is that what we've become?
I certainly have some information.
Have we become the Borg to an extent? All of our information's shared. You don't have to make yourself memorize as much anymore because you know it's available at your fingertips. We become a collective
I do know
brain.
that the listeners will go to iTunes and leave us reviews, and resistance is futile. So, okay, maybe not, but
there is that. Yeah,
I tried.
I don't know. Like I just thought like a little put a little depthness to it all, right?
We're not that bad yet. But especially since for all our carping, we who can live and work on the internet are really not that much of a majority as we like to think we are. But
yeah,
that'll depend on how fast everyone else can get their high-speed connections up and running, won't it? That'll be the next
thing. If Google has anything to say about it, that it's all on its way.
And they've got a lot of clout.
That they're going to... Yeah, their clout rating is like huge, but
and a lot of money, so it might actually happen. We'll see.
They're actually going to start putting high speed cabling in fiber cables in Austin in the very near future.
Yes, I read about that, and you know what? The fact that Texas is getting fiber optic and I'm not is a good time to get the hell out of here.
Today.
It'll get Texas. There eventually. We'll get it.
We will.
Tomorrow, the universe.
Folks, remember, dramaticcinematic.com. Also, find Mike on Twitter at
Gray Matter Splat.
And Mr. DeMoss on his newly restored website.
Well, about, should be
nearly restored. Doesn't mean you can't go click around. Go fuck shit up.
Yeah, well, it'll be restored by the time anyone hears this. And that's AYTIWS, which stands for And You Thought It Was Safe.
.com. All right, folks, that's an episode. Thank you for tuning in, and don't forget, I'm on the internet.